one, Larry.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Big Idea podcast. We have a special guest friend of ours, Sandy Zanino, and we're very interested to hear what she has to say. She's a friend of ours also on Lethal Sales, but she's been around the industry. Most of you probably already know her. So without further ado, welcome to our show. And Sandy, tell these nice folks who you are and what you do.
Well, hi, Larry, one of my favorite lunatic, I think is what Hi, and it's really nice to be here with you and talk about my big idea and who I am. I have been in the industry since 1998. In Sarasota, Bradenton is where I live in Florida, and I started my career. I really fell into automotive, which is actually a part of the whole point of my big idea. Automotive was not, I was going to be, like the next Barbara Walters. I wanted to go into mass communications. I wanted to be interviewing people. Automotive wasn't something that I thought of as a career path. And I had no idea about it. All I knew was that, car dealers could be shady and you had to be careful. And my dad always did, he did all the transactions in our family. And, so I've been around a while, and I got a great, amazing education with the group that I worked for just about 20 years. We all discovered how smart I was kind of at the same time. I started my career pretty late. And I was in my 30s when I started in automotive, or getting ready to turn 30. And so my experience is pretty broad, running the corporate office, doing payroll, but I loved HR, right? We all discovered, like, I guess I'm the kind of employee that I would see something that wasn't being done and raise my hand to do it. That started with benefits, then 401k. Then I went back to college and I got my degree and I got certified and I did all these things. And through experience, especially with that group, came to understand that while human resources is it's not a profit center, right? But it sure can protect those profits. And that is a lot of the point for me. And when HR, a lot of people don't like HR, right? And HR has a real problem. We call it all these different names, right? People and this and blah, 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 but it's human resources. And at least that's how I think about it. And I also think about it as customer service, which is a little weird to some people. But I have always looked at it that way. I come from a customer service background with my family's business. And what I discovered is that when you can create win-win-win, and win for the company, win for the managers, and win for the employees, something really amazing happens. That group I worked for 20 years, our collective in Florida, the stores in Florida, turnover was at like 23%, which is crazy. Nobody left, right? People just didn't leave. So that's enough out of me about who I am. And I'm excited to talk about this idea that really is all about people.
Sandy, before we move into that, can you what are the licenses that you have? I mean, I worked for Universal Underwriters years ago, and they had an acronym for everything. And, I don't, what are those, what are your licenses?
I hold the SPHR through HRCI, which is the Senior Professional in Human Resources.
Okay.
I also, I don't know if y'all are aware of the Association for Dealership Compliance Officers. It's a
ADCO?
Yes.
ADCO. Okay.
I also have been certified through ADCO. That is not to say that I am
sure
an expert at all.
But you went through their certification process.
I did. Okay. And
so you have the ability. You're certified to train on on various HR and employee.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I do trainings, for example. I've done some trainings for my friends at Fisher and Phillips on like the ADA, on all of the employment laws and things like that. I actually offer training for dealers.
Well, that's what I was saying. So you have, like, you're a trusted advisor. So in certain respects, where dealers are hiring you to manage their business, not only just hire and fire and make sure that the employees are doing their time cards. So from your point of view, because it's, for years in the auto industry, it was always the good old boys club, and that sometimes HR was, put HR to handle the stuff that, handle it, and they wouldn't invite HR to the table. And that they were an afterthought. So in today's environment, where you have to run a dealership correctly, and you have to have intention with all the people in the employment, understands their roles, that they need to do it. And so that's really a big piece of what you would do, and organize that and make sure that these things are getting accomplished.
Well, it's interesting that you talked about the good old boys club. I think the NADA's workforce study just came out, and the number of female hires, I think, has gone down. I haven't looked at the study, but it's gone down a lot, like 25%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
and that's a terrible, because we need more women in the industry, because women have even their DNA is doing it correct the first time, not let me get away with it 6 different times, like a guy wants to do, and talk about it and just not do the job.
I mean, we should match our customers, shouldn't we?
Well,
I mean, doesn't every business want to match its customers?
Well, there's laggards.
The gender gap within automotive has been talked about, and we keep part of what I believe is the solution to, and this doesn't have to do with my big idea, but to the things the challenges that automotive, since I've been around, has been trying to overcome in a variety of different ways. Right?
Disarray, fragmented, poor leadership, no organization, all of the above.
But the gender gap, turnover, which is something we always do, and then all of it has to do with culture. Yeah. So when an organization can build a culture that is, Larry, don't lose your mind, inclusive to everybody, right? That welcomes everybody.
But everybody needs to participate.
Absolutely. And I think I wrote an article years ago, like, that we have to stop talking about fit, right?
Yeah.
Instead, especially because of the generations that we have in the workforce, organizations need to start thinking about what those generations want, right? Instead of trying to shove them into our traditional culture.
Sandy, most organizations don't think, period. They fall into bureaucratic lanes, and that's where they go. In the auto business, it's the clearest example of monolithic, flat out stupid thinking, because women influence 80% of the buying decisions. They buy 60% of the vehicles, and you go into a dealership and all you see are men. I send every class I have, I send people out to mystery shop. And I love it when I have women in class. I think they're better salespeople. They listen better and build rapport better. But there's nothing sadder and funnier at the same time than a woman going in and saying, I'm looking for a car for my sister who just had a baby. Not only do they ignore the sister and the baby, they say, you coming back with your husband or your boyfriend? It's chauvinistic and stupid beyond human comprehension. So I just had to jump in when you said about organizations thinking. And that's the only reason that human resources gets a bad knock, because a lot of the times I feel, and some people feel, there should be some personality. There should be a lot of things other than what's on a piece of paper. And sometimes human resources takes the lumps for that, because it seems like they're judging it more on what's on the paper than the person. But of course, you're also towing the line to mitigate liability. So we get it.
All right. So
I only said that, Sandy, so you would feel
There's things I want to say, but I want
which
to.
leads to inclusivity. See, you converted me.
he's crossing the line, or he's staying in his lane. So Sandy, yes, we're glad, we're thrilled to have you here. I wanted to learn. I was going to play the Sandy song from Greece, because that's all I have in my head now. Is when that was from Greece. I found it, 1978.
Just FYI, I would definitely be playing Rizzo.
That's very funny.
Just in that shit.
Larkin, you're a little culturally deprived. That means she would be the tough chick.
I'm gonna wait and see if you can sing and hum us a few bars, Gary.
No. I can find it. What I've learned, you taught me how to find things on Google.
Oh, Gary's singing. Okay.
Yeah. No, we could. That would be one for the ages.
Larry is the entertainer.
No, Gary Silman will sing, and we will now be inclusive enough to include deaf people.
and ear bleeders.
Tell us your big idea. I want to hear all about your big idea.
Let's go with it.
We've got people. I've been building this up. I've been emailing and inviting everybody. I'm like, we've got Sandy, and Friday afternoon, everybody needs to listen to what Sandy has to say. So we built you up. You won't let us down.
Well, I am actually really excited about this idea.
Great.
Because for a lot of reasons. One, I am passionate about this industry. I love this industry. I've been in it a long time. Since I came to realize, like, wow, automotive is really a driver of our economy, right? I just believe that. And the next time I'll show you some of these slides that I have, like, because I looked this stuff up. There's in the automotive industry, there are, in vehicle and parts manufacturing, there's 1 million people employed. 2 million at retail dealers and parts stores. With suppliers, parts manufacturing, just about 1 million.
How about gas stations?
In the whole ecosystem of automotive, it's like 11 million people.
Yeah.
Employed.
Yeah.
Hold on, Garrett. And despite the knock against us, dealers are among the most philanthropic people you'll ever meet. Find me one dealer that doesn't contribute to the community.
They all do, right? They at least in my experience.
Go ahead, Garrett. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I wanted to get that plug in for dealers. This show, we build them up, we don't knock them down, Sandy. Go ahead.
So because of that, right? And when we look, and because of what I do for a living, right? And I do a lot of education. So for years, in fact, pre-COVID, I was talking about the labor shortage. Now I think it's like 2032, there is a prediction of over 5 million people in a labor shortage, right? The labor shortage was it's about demographics, right? It's about the number of working age people in the United States. Then when you have to also look at generations that are in the workforce. So right now, millennial is the biggest cohort, right? Boomers, there's only like 15% in the entire workforce that are boomers. Gen Z keeps growing in the workforce. Gen Alpha is not in the workforce yet, but they're coming behind. So our workforce is younger. The Gen Xers, we're here for that's the sign for Gen Xers, by the way.
From the trade, they're saying is that there's 5 leaving and only 2 coming in. So it's devastating. It's a lot.
It is. It's a lot. Right. We have there already is.
There is
going to get bigger. Right.
Yeah.
So one of the things that this is where it comes to my big idea. I'm like, where are we going to find these people? And while parts or service, really, like technicians, I see a lot of partnerships with the tech schools and things like that. But we need people everywhere, right? And so this shortage is going to it's going to affect every single sector that's in automotive, right? It's going to affect vendors. It's going to affect OEMs. It's going to affect dealers. I work with dealers right now. I'm looking for some accounting staff. Holy schmoly, it's hard to find people, right? And I don't put ads out anyway. But so here's the idea, right? To build a coalition of all sectors of automotive and begin to first educate at middle school, at organizations like Girls Inc., Boys and Girls Club, middle school and high school. I mean, like the big idea for a program like this would be that we connect kids, we make them aware of all of the career paths that are in automotive. I mentioned that it was not my bright idea to go into automotive, right? I fell into it. And I don't know about you all, but I have personally heard many, many people say I fell into automotive.
Right? It's 90%.
That, they
ended up there, how they got there, they answered a call, their buddy, they're somebody, and they got there. They
were in college. They were in
the stigma has been forever, is that if you're in and around the auto industry, you're lower than an attorney or a banker, and you're in the auto industry. And
the way that ideas go, I'm discovering something really interesting, that when you start talking to people, you put things out there. And so, of course, when I've been thinking about this for a while, and then I talked about it with you all on the lethal sales.
Right? Yeah.
And you said, let's come on the show. So I had to, I have slides and everything. Like, I've created a framework.
Well, I mean, and as I was saying, I'm wearing my Bring Back the Trades. New Hampshire, the governor of New Hampshire and Mike Rowe had it was called the Trade-a-Palooza at one of the community colleges in New Hampshire. And as I sent you that clip about Amanda Grapponi, 4th generation Ford dealer, and you'll watch it. It's a terrific TED Talk.
Right.
And so what they've already done is they've added curriculum back into the high school, and they're adding into the community colleges certification programs. And what they did is they had buses from all high school all around, and it was they had demonstrations of robotics, and they had demonstrations, and they had contractors, and because when you go to Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, they're driving a truck and they're fixing their own stuff. And and they know how to take things apart and put it back together. And what's the big movement now is, and you'll watch it, it's like integrity and respect, and that people going into the trades were always treated as, inferior. They couldn't go to college, so they went and learned a trade. Well, now with people like Mike Rowe and Amanda Grapponi and all these people, it's like, whoa, you can decide on what you want to do, and you don't have to go a 4-year college that's going to strap you for another 8 years and put you into a situation. So it is powerful, and I know that they've gotten Vermont. It's called Bring Back the Trades, and they're working with some people. They have a marketing. They did a really cool, like, Procon is a construction company, and then you got, like, on this hat, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you got the little their logos.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody got some notoriety with who marketed, and they gave everybody hats, and it was just a wonderful thing. So that's when I said, "Oh, Sandy, I'd like you to meet this Amanda, because Amanda Grapponi in New Hampshire, she changed before everybody else changed how to be a respectful dealership, and how you have a mission, vision, and value statement, and that you live it and you own it." And she's one of the, so I've been watching her. I've been just watching her from LinkedIn and seeing, what she does, because that's what today's customers, the local community, deserve.
Well,
And
here's one of the things that I love to say about mission, values, and core values and things like that, that you really do, you need to back them up with stories. There should be stories that illustrate the integrity, right, that happens in your deal.
100-year-old.
You're totally, I love, and there are initiatives, right? Like I just talked to I think Sandy Cerami is up to something in New Jersey.
He's a big trainer. He would be involved with that kind of stuff.
He's up to something in New Jersey. So what happened with me, and what I was saying about when you open your mouth, things start happening, right? Like things start happening. So I started talking to people that I know, because while this is a global idea, I need to start local, right? I need to start somewhere. I honestly, like, I envision like a road show going to different middle schools and high schools and organizations of, and put on like a road show.
Well, but there is a huge movement in the middle school where they have STEM, science, technology, education, and those would be welcoming places to bring on new curriculum or add to their curriculum.
Well, I don't necessarily want to. It could be, right?
But
like,
I'm just saying those are resources.
Yes, any and all organizations. So where I started, I happen to have some connections at Career Source Suncoast, right, which is local to here, to Sarasota and Braden and Manatee counties, and talked with Anthony and showed him my deck and told him my whole idea. And he looked at me and he said, "Sandy, your timing is impeccable." And I was like, what's happening? And so we are discussing, we're meeting again on Monday, talking about putting together a week-long program, really, for
so just education, let people come and see.
All kinds of stuff. Like, I think it's really important that with kids too, that we bring family in, right? That we bring and have like parents.
Mom and dad, grandpa.
But for all sectors, not just dealers, to be able, and not necessarily like a job fair, right? We need to make it fun, but the whole point is to introduce them to automotive, because it's not just about selling and servicing cars.
Oh yeah.
Right? If you have an interest in marketing, there's a job for you in automotive. If you want to be an engineer, there's a job for you in automotive. If you want to paint cars, there's a job for you in automotive. If your interest is in numbers and accounting, there are definitely jobs for you in automotive.
Yeah.
Right? Like kids.
You've seen young men and women start as the biller or the DMV clerk, and now they're the comptroller after 20 years of learning everything. And those are the best employees. They've lived it. They understood it. They know every position in that office. And that's a career for a lot of people.
Sure. But kids today, Mike, go ahead.
I was going to ask, where's the vision for you? Is it starting at elementary school levels and just introducing something to get their mind going? And, when you see your first fire truck, I want to be a fireman.
Right. Exactly.
Right?
You gotta
so
see
that young is going to propel them.
Elementary, I'm not looking at elementary. I am looking at middle school. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So what
So what, 13 13 to 15, 13 years old to 15 years old.
6th, 7th, and 8th grade, like 11, 12.
That's
13.
Okay,
middle
so-
school now, 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Now,
Yeah.
I know that middle schools have career days, right?
Yeah.
I was asked to come and talk at my kids' middle school career day about what I do, right? So at middle schools, what I really envision is that roadshow thing,
Yeah.
right? Like people from different sectors coming and talking about.
They go to the cafe. They show up at the cafeteria next to the recruiters. It used to be the recruiters from the military.
Well, I don't know if they go to middle school.
Well, back in the day, that's when the military would come in and say, you may not want to go to college. You may have to go to the military. And those were your career choices.
And I mean, at middle school, so it's more about education at middle school.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Just learning.
On, hey, this is something that you too could do, right? The vendors. I mean, vendors. How many vendors are there? Some of the, there are just so many options in automotive, but we all kind of fall into it, right?
There was no training. There was no training platform for anybody. It was you did. Whether you felt comfortable, you could move forward. But right, there wasn't. There would be like Prince Tech, like for the kids who were getting in trouble, they would let them go tear cars apart, and open engines just because, but those were the kids that were getting in trouble. They just wanted to get them out of the mainstream. Now it's like, no, you gotta get everybody involved. But
Mike, does that answer your question? And from middle school, I see that to more of education.
Yeah, I'm just trying to establish the what inspires, and inspiration doesn't last. Ask Tony Robbins. When you walk over the coals, when your feet heal up, the inspiration is gone.
Well, Michael,
Right?
think about it.
An impact is everlasting. It's an impact that says, okay, I'm going to do this. Sorry, Larry, go ahead.
Well, think about it. We were talking about, I was anyway, about bureaucracy and not thinking things through. I mean, Mike Rowe is just, besides a great American, is just a brilliant guy. But think about it. You get trained in a field where they always need people, and when the pay is substantial, as opposed to a lot of people that unfortunately pay a lot of money for college and earn a degree that can't help them make any money. You talk about shooting at the wrong target. Hey, Sandy, we're sneaking up on a half an hour. We like to keep our podcast short so more people will watch them. You were kind enough to provide us with Mike's help, your information. So if someone is looking for HR help or training related to that, they can reach you at your phone number or at that email, correct?
Yes, of course.
Cool.
Yep. Or especially if you're interested in talking about this coalition idea, about bringing the good news of automotive to really pre-emerging and emerging talent.
You and I will have some talks about this off camera too. I think we've already started down that path. It'd be a lot of fun. All right, Sandy, we appreciate having you on. We'll probably have you on back with your slides at the ready. And on behalf of Mr. Larkin and Mr. Silman, we thank you for being part of our Big Idea podcast. And gosh, Sandy's always been sincere. If anybody is looking to reach out to her, you won't be sorry. She does bring a lot of energy and passion.
Oh, well, thank you, Larry. That was very nice of you to say.
Nice spending time with you, Sandy. I look forward to continuing the connections. And there's plenty of connections, but you'll share this, how you're progressing, because you're right. It starts locally and then it spreads. And it would be wonderful to continue to see it spread. And we'll do our part in New England. That's where we can be of support, Mike and I, and some visibility.
There's workforce organizations in every state.
Yep. No,
they all have
it is.
Right.
In businesses, in some of these businesses right now, as much as everyone wants to talk about how bad the economy is the dealers are thriving. I mean, the dealers that are working, you know, they're working hard. They're buying used cars. They're training. They're trying. So the industry always finds ways to come back and to figure it out. And it's amazing how much there's a ton of people that live off of the auto industry. Tons.
It's a nature, my buddy. Nature abhors the vacuum, and dealerships will always be resilient because they have to be.
Yeah. Nowhere else to go. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.